we are going to be talking about loneliness in the age of hyperconnectivity.
God cares about your circles too.
Certain blessings or certain things that will only come about through our proximity to people.
I really want some friends, you know.
When it comes to dating, guys never seem to stick around. We rarely make it past the talking stage, and those who do mostly just want something physical.
To my sisters, you were not made to do life alone. I know sometimes it feels like that's more convenient and you're less predisposed to pain, but honestly, life is so much more beautiful when you do it with people who actually love you. Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Renee, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
We are all about promoting the wellness, growth and development of a community of sisters around the world.
And in today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about loneliness in the age of hyperconnectivity.
Tough times.
Why are the ladies and the girlies still feeling lonely?
Let's get sociological.
Let's get... I see you brought your glasses. Just said today we're going to get down and dirty on the sociology. So this is a brilliant question, I feel, especially because, as the title suggests, we are in an age of hyperconnectivity. Now more than ever before, we are clued up on strangers' lives, as well as our own friends' lives. We are seeing the Instagram reels and stories, the TikToks, we're seeing the WhatsApp status updates and all of that kind of good stuff. And yet... we are still feeling the burn of loneliness. We are still feeling isolated. And actually, I believe like loneliness is on the rise. So Courts, what is going on? Why is it and how is it that we as women can feel so connected to each other and yet simultaneously disconnected and still feeling quite lonely?
Such a great question. You know what? I think... somebody recently said this quote. I don't know if I said this on here or not, but that loneliness is not the absence of people. It's the absence of people who will love you well.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, it really deeply resonated with why people feel so lonely nowadays. I don't think it's that we don't have people. I think we have people around us. I think we have access to people. And as you were saying, like social media can often give us the guise of being connected, but I don't think we have people who actually love us well, or people who we can call on in times of need, or people who we truly feel like we have intimate, deep relationships with, who will show up for us. And I think as much as we are connected, we are seeing a decline in community. And like, I think a lot of people, including ourselves and other amazing organizations, are doing a lot of work to promote community again. And be like, you know what, we don't just need connection, we need community. And community is rooted in communing. Like you need to be with each other. There needs to be a how do you explain communing? Like, how do you, like, gathering or being in each other's presence, fellowship, or like just being around each other, doing things with each other. Like, we're not just interacting with each other's posts, we're checking in on each other, we're calling, we're speaking on the phone, we're going out, we're coming to each other's homes, we're showing up when someone's sick. And it's not just I see you at Christmas, birthdays and all of that stuff. It's I'm in your life, you know, we're doing life together. And I think a lot of us are facing loneliness because we are connected, but we're not communing.
I love that.
You?
I think that you've said it perfectly, right? It's that lack of depth in that the connections that we have with people. It almost feels like we're living in a surveillance town, right? Where we can know what people are doing, but we don't know what people are going through. And I think for any meaningful relationship to work, I think it really does necessitate, you know, knowing people, but also knowing what they're going through. What does the journey behind the pictures and the carousels and the reels look like? As much as it's nice to have access to the pretty edited reels and the stories of the day to day, what about what people don't show, right? Like, what does life look like when it's not in front of a camera, right? And I think as much as it's beautiful to be able to connect with people, I think social media has allowed us to keep up with, you know, not just everyone else, but also friends, for example, that live long distances away. You know, I think it's not necessarily just been a negative thing, but I do think that a lot of us are forfeiting connection, and we are forfeiting what you were saying around communing, because we are seeing surveillance as proxy for relationships. Just because you see somebody doesn't mean that you're in relationship with them.
That's good.
And as much as a lot of us, like I remember back in the day when Twitter X was popping, and people would be like, oh yeah, my Twitter friends. You know what I'm saying? It's all about me and my Twitter friends. But one thing about Twitter friends is they're going to leave you in the dust when it gets hot online. And we've seen it. We've seen people trashed by the same people that profess to be their friends. That must mean that there's something about being online in which friendship, the code of friendship just does not translate. It doesn't translate. You can be my Twitter friend, but you're not my real friend. In the same way you can be a Twitter hater, but you're not a real hater. Like Kendrick Lamar, that level of hating, that's real hating. That is in real life.
That is hilarious. I don't think Kendrick is a hater.
Do you know what?
I don't think he's a hater at all.
Do you know what? I think he's a troll.
I don't even know if he's that. I think he's calling it for what it is. You guys know I've never really liked Drake's music. So.
No, but the dedication though.
Yeah, and
the commitment.
I personally think this is the perfect David and Goliath story. And genuinely, I love to see the victory.
Yeah, you know.
I've never seen somebody take such a excellent approach to coming back at somebody.
Yeah.
But also winning to this degree. Do you know he's like the 4th most streamed rapper ever?
Sometimes you just gotta swallow your L. The only thing is that L is really rather large.
All off a diss track. Can you imagine being the person? Sorry, we're taking this on a tangent.
Don't worry,
I think this is a lesson for the masses. Imagine you take a shot at somebody and the shot they return back not only annihilates you, it builds a kingdom.
It's got friends and family, ecosystems.
That is insane.
Ecosystems.
And that's what Kendrick's done.
They not like us.
They not like us.
Oh, Lord. It's even grown wings. Some of them, they've started flying.
I genuinely, I do wonder, can Aubrey Graham ever show his face again?
Not the government name. So that he has to change his name to something else. Aubrey.
Are you okay?
Baby, just check.
Can he ever make another song without it becoming about Kendrick Lamar?
No,
that's it.
No.
Super Bowl.
Oh.
Grammys. Streams. Serena.
Oh. It is well. Aubrey, we're praying for all people involved. We take no sides, guys. We take no sides.
I do.
She said the side of justice.
I have.
The side of justice. But I think that's the perfect illustration of the difference between online and real life.
Yeah.
We even talk about quite often, right? There's a lot of people that will run their mouth online, but if you see them in person,
catch them outside. Nothing.
You ain't got nothing for me. In fact, it's often the people that ain't got nothing to say in person that have all the things to say online.
Twitter fingers.
And there is a distinction between your online friends or your online associates and the people that you see in real life.
Yeah.
I think we've really started to see this with...
Sorry, Twitter fingers. Was that also a diss to Drake from Meek Mill?
I don't know.
Was that about Drake? Sorry, I'll search. One day.
Yeah, we'll come back.
I need to find that out.
I'm screaming. It's the fact, intrusive thoughts. Actually, wait.
Yeah, no, because if it is, Drake's been receiving a lot of heat for a long time.
No, but Kendrick has not liked this man.
I know.
It's
and
really
that's what makes this even more triumphant.
The commitment is quite serious.
But all you have to do is bide your time.
We need to do an episode, lessons on hating truly in real life. It's not.
No, but I did end up after his Super Bowl performance, I did end up watching an interview from Kendrick Lamar because I was like, what a fantastic week for a person.
Truly.
Grammys, Super Bowl.
Truly.
This is a lot of success. And he was just talking about how from an artist perspective, he was talking, and I think from an artist perspective, there's actually a lot to learn from Kendrick Lamar.
Oh yeah, facts.
And his dedication to his craft and his love for his craft.
Yeah.
And what he's doing with, is it PJ Lang or P Lang or something like that? His label, and it's just seeing I think dedication and commitment to doing this for the long haul, which I think a lot of entertainers don't have.
Yeah.
But that's lessons.
No, but even in that, right, it's the real dedication, right, to your craft.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just about, I think music is actually the perfect example because there is even a distinction between artists that create TikTok songs or artists that create songs that are streamed in a day and we forget about them. The virality is, something that they love, but then there are artists like your Kendrick, there are artists like your Adeles that, you know, you don't hear from too often online, but in real life, they be showing up.
Yeah.
And their music is actually streamed and people resonate with it and people connect with it. So good. I didn't think we'd get to this analogy, but I think it's a perfect one in that friendships often operate like that. And I think social media, starting with Facebook, because remember, our Facebook followers, we called them friends. And we've spoken about this before in some of our past episodes, but be careful how you deploy the term friend. And many of us are feeling lonely, disappointed, and isolated because we have misappropriated the label friend. Yeah. Everybody is, hey sis, comments, fire emoji. Hey friend, hey lovely, hey babe. You need to see these things for what they are. No one is saying that you can't have online acquaintances. Yeah. You can't, like, no one is saying you can't have online fans. But the word friend, there's an expectation attached to that. And many of us are disappointed because our expectations haven't been met because we have misappropriated the term.
Such a good point.
And I think it kind of segues into the next point around floundering adult female friendships right now. Not just online, but actually in person as well. It seems that the feedback that we've had from a lot of people is it's very difficult to find friends, especially in adulthood. There's just something about adulthood that lends itself to a certain level of difficulty when it comes to connecting with people, doing the whole lifelong thing with another woman. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of the challenges around cultivating lifelong friendship, online, in person, doesn't really matter, but cultivating that friendship in adulthood for women.
Absolutely. I think cultivating deep friendships, cultivating sisterhood requires a level of intentionality, which takes quite a bit of time. Yeah. And as we're getting older, I think a lot of us can resonate with the fact that we don't have as much time as we used to. So we don't have as much time to do the things that build the intimacy. So like, I don't have as much time to do brunch, lunch, dinner, 6 hours on the phone, whatever it may be. And I can do those things, but it's maybe just not as frequently as I was able to do them before. And so I think for a lot of us, we're trying to make up for the fact that it feels like we don't have that much time. And I think it requires us to make certain trade-offs. Like, you know, I know you're tired and you want to do your night in, but just call your friend. Or like while you're on the way to, or even on the flip side of that, if you want your friends to communicate with you more, are you going to be okay if they're calling you when they're on their way shopping? You know, like, are you just desiring for everyone to show up you in those deep quality time moments? Or are you also okay with the idea of there being, you know, us doing life together and me doing life while I'm communing with you, you know, like come over for us all to watch the kids, or come over whilst I still get my project done, but you can be in the same space. And sometimes that's what adult friendships look like. It looks like coexisting and also, giving ourselves time to have those deep moments of connection, but also adjusting our expectations slightly. I also would say that a lot of us are dealing with a very key thing that happens oftentimes when we get older, which is feeling embarrassed. And I think a lot of us struggle with this idea of feeling needy or like a beg, or like, oh, if I tell this person I want to be your friend at like 30, they're gonna think I'm so weird, or like awkward, that I have an ulterior motive. And it's like, that is a real fear, I think, especially based on how people have reacted online to people trying to get close to them, and just like treating people like, oh, why'd you always want to be around me? And it's like, the person wants to be your friend. That doesn't make them weird. That's how relationships are built. And so I think for a lot of us, we're looking at like, how do I say I want to be this person's friend without looking like a beg? And I think a lot more of us are content with not having friendships so that we can preserve our image, right? And like preserve our reputation as a cool kid. And I think it's just, you know, being that person who's like, no, I will message you and be like, do you want to go out for coffee? Or I will message you and be like, girl, I miss you. I want to get to know you better. Or I think you're super cool. You inspire me, or whatever, you know, that breeds that friendship forward. So those are two things I would say. I would also say we're living in the age where we are, and to be fair, this is not new, but we are taught to see women as competition. And so we don't want to have them as friends. Or we have this belief that women see us as competition. And so we don't want to have them as friends because we are suspicious of them. You know, I've met so many women, especially in us doing To My Sisters and talking about female friendship. I have met so many women, and especially since doing To My Sisters and talking about female friendship and having our book, who have been like, the whole sisterhood thing is fun, but like I've tried to be friends with women and they're all just so jealous of me. It's like, babe, give it a rest. Like,
now.
there are good women out there. You cannot, and I constantly say this, you are not the only good woman that exists. Relax. You will find someone who loves you. It's enough. You need to give it a chance. Like, and the first thing you need to do is get rid of this stupid narrative you have. That like, women are just jealous of me. Who told you? Who told you that?
Just
like,
jealous.
I find that that's one of the most obnoxious things. Like, honestly, just know if you've said that to me in my face in the past, I am judging you.
Yeah.
I am.
We listen,
like, genuinely,
but we judge.
as you are saying it, I'm like, ew. Because to me, it's giving like, those people's like, oh my God, everyone just wants what I have. Who told you that? Like, who actually told?
Everyone just wants to be
how
me.
Pompous can you actually
everyone just
be?
Wants
everyone
what I
just
have.
wants to be me. The world doesn't revolve around you,
get
lovely. We don't care.
Bro, do you know how funny that is?
Do you get what I mean? And so it's because of that they're now like, I just can't have friends.
Let's take it down
no
the
one
peg.
wants you as a friend.
Oh, mate.
Because clearly you're the sort of friend who, and we've all met a type of woman like this.
Yeah.
Once you're in friendship with them, it's all about them.
Yeah.
Whenever you meet up, they're just talking about them. You ask them, how are you? They never throw it back. One-sided, because they are the center of attention. Like, a lot of us have encountered narcissistic women.
Yeah.
And that can scar you.
Yeah.
That can really scar you. And if you are the person who like does think like everyone is actually jealous of me, I can also understand, especially if that's based on past experience as well, of somebody being like, they didn't like your success or they didn't celebrate you very well. I can also imagine how that is also scarring. So I think it's a mix of all of those things. I think it's adjusting to the time constraints that we have as adults or the other demands on our lives. I think it's dealing with the whole shame and embarrassment of admitting that you want to be someone's friend and that just feeling quite awkward because you open yourself up to rejection as well. And then it's also past experiences and encounters with other women that may have scarred us and stop us from moving forward. How about you?
No, I love that. I think again you hit the nail on the head. I think in terms of your first point, adjusting to the expectations of adulthood, that is so real because we've spoken about this on the podcast before. We don't give our friends grace. We really don't. Our expectations of friendship and wanting people to show up for us, especially as it pertains to sisterhood, I often find it can be very high. And this is not to say that you won't find people to meet this, but how much grace are we actually giving our friends and how much opportunity are we giving them to show up for us too? And I think also a point that you had shared in one of our last podcast episodes, the importance of communication. These expectations that you have for the women in your life, have you actually communicated them? This is what I want from friendship. Do you know what I'm saying? Because so many of us just assume, and we do the same in romantic relationships where we just assume compatibility. And then we end up heartbroken because we were never compatible in the first place.
So good.
But we had competing expectations that were never expressed. And I love women. I love us. But sometimes we don't articulate. We don't.
We're the worst
We're at is guessing game. It
we're
is.
The worst
She should know that this is. We always assume the worst, and we always assume that people should know about us and our needs. Whether you are a friend that's been a friend for 2 years or 20 years, don't ever assume. Always be curious about your friends. Always be curious about the woman that you want to get to know. I think as you were saying around like, the ladies that think that everybody is jealous of them. I've tried, I've been intentional, it's not been. I think there is a category of women that is true for. I think there's also another category whereby we are used to expressing love in the way that we receive it. Hey sisters, interrupting this episode with a little ding 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 dilemma. Let's get into it. Hi sisters, I hope you're all doing well. I'm a 21-year-old from South Africa. Shout out to all my Cape Town, Johannesburg, just South Africa babes. Let me not do territorial because that always gets a lot of people a bit heated. But shout out to all our South African babes. I've recently graduated with a diploma in my dream career, though I haven't found a job yet, which adds to my frustration. On top of that, I barely have close friends to go out with. Most of my friends have other circles or are in relationships, and my best friend lives far away, so I rarely see her. When it comes to dating, guys never seem to stick around. We rarely make it past the talking stage, and those who do mostly just want something physical. It's starting to make me feel like something is wrong with me. How can I work through this and find happiness within myself? It's hard to believe in love when all I've experienced is disappointment. Would love your advice. First of all, sis, congratulations. It is so huge to have graduated with your diploma. Many, many congratulations. And I hope you've actually had some time to really celebrate yourself. I know that this time period can feel so discombobulating, but don't forget that you've actually reached a major life milestone, and especially being so incredibly young, I know it can feel super daunting considering where you're at. But I just want to affirm you real quick and say, sis, this is completely normal. I know that it must feel like, raw, this is something that's happening to me specifically, and maybe there's something wrong with me. But considering the life stage that you're at and considering the things that you're experiencing, it's perfectly normal, especially when you have just graduated with your diploma. These kind of environments naturally bring a certain social dynamic, social structure, which makes it super easy for you to connect with people and feel surrounded. So now you're really in the thick of adulthood and you're really taking baby steps into the great abyss that they called adulthood. I would definitely encourage you to actually be kind to yourself and really challenge the negative self-talk that you may be entertaining, especially after such a huge milestone, and take your time with it. So that's my first point. Sis, hats off to you. Congratulations. It's an educated babe. We love to see it. Second of all, in the area of friendship, it's also very normal to feel a little bit isolated or disconnected, especially during this period. It's a great season of transition, not just for you, but also all of your other friends as well, especially with your best friend living so far away and everyone being in these weird, different seasons, some in relationships, some far away, some who are just not connecting in the same way. Again, completely normal. And that's actually going to be a feature of adulthood. It really is about meeting people where they're at. And in terms of your expectations for friendships, at least with the people that are currently around you that you really love, it may be worth having a couple conversations to see how you can rekindle or prioritize some of these friendships, and let your friends know that you actually desire to have that closeness with them again, especially in navigating this post-uni, post-diploma era that you're finding yourself in. It also might be a really good time to start, thinking about some new relationships too. You are fresh off the cuff of graduating, and this is the perfect opportunity for you to start pursuing interest-based communities, going to places where you can connect with other like-minded women and men, since you're interested in those romantic relationships. This is really the time for you to explore what makes you tick. What are some of the things, the hobbies, the personal interests that you have that may also be a great basis for some of those relationships that you're quite keen to cultivate, and really starting from there. So really strengthening your old ties with your community, but then also being open to new ones in this era that you are navigating. And in terms of finding happiness within yourself, girl, it is very possible. And you're actually starting the right way. The fact that that's even a question that you have. Relationships are great and they are to be prioritized, but you need to make sure that you have a positive relationship with yourself, because that's the foundation to a lot of the relationships that you are going to pursue. And I know it's been difficult, especially considering that you had mentioned how much disappointment that you had felt in both romantic relationships, but also friendships. And sometimes those disappointments can leak in to our internal voices, and we can start to believe the lie that we are not worthy of these relationships, or the only type of relationships or people that I am attracting are inherently just not the kind of people that I want. That is a lie. We sometimes have to go through these seasons or these periods of isolations, or things not really working out for us, to really discern, okay, cool, what are my core values? Who are the kind of people that I do actually want in my life? And then ruthlessly execute it and continue to refine it based on where you're out, based on where you're at, based on the information that you're gaining from doing a lot of this exploration, and based on you being open to the different types of relationship. And sis, trust me, if the man them are moving a bit weird and only focusing on your physical, that says more about them than it does about you. That's got nothing to do with you. So really trying to divorce your experiences from your conception of yourself. You are loved, you are valued. You may be going through a hard time of transition, but it doesn't mean that you are unworthy of any of these relationships. And take it a day at a time, a step at a time, making sure that you are navigating these relationships, strengthening old ones, but also very much investing in new ones, and taking it a step at a time when it comes to your romantic relationships too, because the right one will eventually come. Sis, we are praying for you, we adore you, and just know that you are absolutely not alone. This sisterhood definitely backs you at the very least. But sending you lots and lots of love, big congratulations, and I'm looking forward to following your journey, so please send us updates. Big love. And now back to the episode. So even as we are being intentional in some of our relationships, are you being intentional in a way that your friend or the other lady can receive that? Because you can say, I've been intentional, I've been doing all of the coffee I've been asking for the coffee dates, but the ladies that you're interacting with, they don't even drink coffee.
That part.
Have you asked? They might like tea.
Yeah.
Herbal tea.
It's true.
But because in your mind, you think that the only mode or the only way to do friendship is through pursuing the coffee dates. And trust me, we on this podcast, we've always said, ask for a coffee. Sometimes you have to mix it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be curious. Sometimes you have to treat your friends as individuals too. They don't fit into this nice, neat caricature of what a sister is. Yeah. And I would hope that TMS has actually been a testament to the diversity of sisterhood that exists. Your sisterhood is never going to look like a Renee and Courtney. Your sisterhood is never going to look like a Tiwa, or it's never going to look like a Juice. It's never going to look like a Megan. Yeah. It's going to look very different. Yeah. And you have to be okay with pursuing a sisterhood that is very individual and tailored. Good. And too many of us have a conception of what sisterhood should be like, as opposed to having core values that are then manifest in the individual relationships. Yeah. So I think having some flexibility on that is super, super important moving forward. I think the self-awareness piece is, ladies, the self-awareness piece is important. Not everybody is jealous. Not everybody is. And I think it even needs to be taken to the point of, do you have some internalized misogyny there, or internalized patriarchy that everybody is jealous of you?
Absolutely. And I also think sometimes it's because you know what's in your heart. And you know how you view women. And so the assumption is other people view you the same way, right? If you haven't admitted it, but in your head, you're quite a competitive person. It's very easy to think everyone else thinks like that. Do you get what I mean? And so you protect yourself from all the people who are capable of doing to you what you are capable of doing to other people.
Facts.
And so you stop yourself from being in relationship with people because you know what's in your heart. Oh, awkward. Like you said, it's a self-awareness piece.
The pot's calling the kettle
Like,
black.
have you ever had someone be like, oh, because I just thought you this? And it's like, why would I even think that?
Yeah.
It's because they think like that.
Oh,
or because they have the capacity to think like that.
That's really good.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. No, it really is. Sisterhood requires when we say self-awareness, it's not just about, being aware of other people or other things and how they interact with you. It's also about how you interact with other people. What's in your heart? What are you doing, and what is governing the way that you behave towards other people? That's real character work. It's about you, and more so about you than it is about the other person. So what is actually in your heart? I think, as tough as it can be, sometimes we are the reason that we are lonely. We're refusing to step out on faith. We're refusing to bend. And I think friendships are still a site where a lot of women are refusing to yield. But romantic relationships, you'll still be out here jumping up and down. You're bending backwards for this man. He has asked, I like this, so you've decided to do it every single day. He said,
but
babe.
Even that, sometimes no. Like, I think we're also living in a generation of the most rigid people in every context. True. Do you get what I mean? True. Like, they show it at work. Just ask them to do one thing. No.
You know that Gen Z.
Do you get what I mean? Again, like, Gen Z and work culture and just our approach to things is very and obviously we are Gen Z, so it's hard to come at it, but genuinely we have to be able to call out our own nonsense sometimes. So funny. Sometimes we can be too self-centered, and it's like, you ask someone to do things, no, my mental health, okay. Your mum has asked you to pick up the phone, oh my gosh, she's so problematic. Pick up the phone. Like, you actually have duties to other people. And I think we are living in a really rigid time where it's like, I don't owe you anything. Yes,
you do. Yes,
how do you expect to receive anything if you don't owe anyone anything?
Yes, you do. You do.
That's wild.
You do.
And even if you don't see it as owing, okay, you don't owe anyone respect. But if we all went around being lawless, what would society be?
They call that the purge.
Do you get what I mean? Like, withhold your side of the bargain, withhold your part of the social code. Like, yes, you don't owe anyone anything, but then you also can't have any entitlement to expectations either.
Exactly.
You know, like, okay, you don't owe me anything. What if I robbed you right now? And my excuse was, I don't owe you anything. And then you call the police and they're like, we ain't coming. We don't owe you anything.
Oh.
Society can't run like that. Do you get what I mean? So we all show up to fulfill our social duties. And I think we are living in a time where it manifests in female friendship as, sis, I don't owe you anything. I didn't owe you that birthday present. I didn't owe you to come to your baby shower. I didn't owe you to come to your graduation. It's like, no, you didn't owe it to me. But now I don't owe you friendship.
Period. There's social codes, adhere to them, and that's okay. You know, it's actually okay. And I love what you were saying around embarrassment. Ladies, we need to overcome shame. Stop it.
Big time.
Stop it. Why are you ashamed of having a relationship with a woman that's loving? Like, why are you ashamed to express your love to a woman?
A point.
Why are you ashamed to express, oh, I actually really like you as a friend? But for the man them, you're out here talking about, oh, yeah, you know, I really like you. I want to pursue a future with you. But you don't want to pursue a future with your friend. Why? Why is that? And just even getting into the habit. One thing that I love doing is expressing love to my friends. I really love you. I value you and value your position in my life. I value you as an individual, as a person. I value what you bring. Why is that so tough for us, so difficult for us? And obviously there's a whole variety of reasons, embarrassment and shame being a big one, but also traumatic and, you know, past experiences where people have tried to be open to that level of friendship and relationship and have been scarred. And I think, as you were saying, that's a very valid experience too. If you have been scarred by women, and it's often a wound that we don't take as seriously. It's oh, you know, I was hurt by a friend and, you know, I've closed off my boundaries. That's a serious wound, you know. That's actually traumatizing. If somebody has really, you know, they've not met your expectations or they've transgressed your boundaries or they've done something to hurt you. Sometimes friendship wounds are like the biggest heartbreaks that you can experience, you know. And it's actually okay to feel that, in the same way that we have grace for people that experience romantic heartbreak. Affording yourself some grace if you have been heartbroken, but still not neglecting the fact that these relationships are important. Your sense of holistic well-being, your sense of health and happiness, it actually comes from holistic relationships. Friendship being a big one. And I think what's beautiful about friendship as well is friends are the family you get to choose. Like when we say sisterhood and stuff like that, like that, the precursor to sisterhood being blood relation, right? Relationship that's deeply knit. Seeing sisterhood as valuable because that's the blood I get to choose. Good. If your family is wilding, more time family is wilding, more time, but we were stuck with them. Love y'all, but we were stuck with them. Knowing that this is an opportunity for me to choose and really curate my family, I think a lot of people should be willing to take that step. Lean into community. And I know it's also not easy, but for environmental reasons too. I think a lot of us, because a lot of our socializing happens online, with the demise of a lot of third spaces, it can feel like it's really difficult to find authentic people, especially because a lot of the reasons that we gather in third spaces nowadays, parties, even those are declining. Church attendance is also declining. Just even community things, Viva Hall parties. We used to meet the girls at the parties, party in the park.
Bring it back. No, Ghana party in the park still happens.
It's still, I have to go this way.
I'll take you.
Thank you. I have to go this way. I love me a good party in the park. We're becoming the aunties. We used to laugh at these aunties. Oh, I have to come. Even though I said, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so excited. I need to think about my outfit now.
Hilarious. Hilarious. And I think also a lot of third spaces now have a fee.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, they have a fee attached to it. It's like, if we're gonna go and chill, it's gonna cost us minimum £20.
I've sneezed
and maybe £10 to get there.
I've sneezed, but also you can't bring strangers into your house. So
it's like so true. It's so true.
So yeah, I know that it's a difficult time, especially considering like back in the days when we were in school. Yeah, friends by convenience. I'll come sit by your table, we'll hang, we're friends. Or I'm sitting next to you in French, our teacher is actually crazy, we're friends. You know what I'm saying? Friendship these days is very much about intentionality, and that can be hard because it feels like the investment is really, really high. But I do think that segues into our kind of like last point that I wanted to touch on, the silver lining. In an era where the girls are tired, it feels like we're just lonely. We're all connected. I'm seeing everybody doing bits, and yet everybody is still feeling lonely. What are some ways that we can cultivate a sense of community and real female friendship in the age of loneliness?
Woo. Well, first of all, read our book. Like, our book goes into this in many, many chapters. But I would say my top 2 things would be, 1, actually pray about it.
That's beautiful.
Like, if you are someone who has spirituality or is a person of faith, God cares about your circles too. He cares about you being supported by people, and you finding, you know, people who you can do this life thing with. And I love that you mentioned, like, for a lot of us, and like for myself, most of our friends came from places of similar faith. Right? Like, if you are Muslim, it's your other Muslim sisters or your cousins or whatever. And if you are Christian, it's the girls that you met at church, and all of these things, like relationship. Or I mean, if you're into like new age practice, the girls you met at yoga and Pilates and all these things. You know what? I don't know what you guys do. I don't. But like, but do you get what I mean? It's shared spaces where you genuinely, like, a huge part of you is connected to. And I think when you meet people in spaces like that, there's always just a lot of common ground. And I'm not saying like find yourself in a spiritual space just to make friends, but honestly, I think if you are someone who prays, like, I think just let God know, like, I really want some friends, you know, friends, I really want some sisters. Like, I remember, related but not really, like, I prayed to God that I wanted a younger sister when I was like 4 years old. I was like, God, I need a younger sibling. It can't just be me in this house. Like, please send me a younger sibling.
And look at what happened.
And then literally, like, I went up to my mum one day. I was like, you've got a baby in your belly. And then she was like, no. I was like, you're having a sister. You're
Stop
having
it.
my sister.
No.
And her name is gonna be Mary. And I just walked away.
Okay, prophetess.
Yeah, legit. At like 3, 4. Wow. Yeah, legit. And that's exactly what I got. Jesus. And I feel like that's what you have to declare to the atmosphere. Wow. Like,
glory.
Sorry, the whole production team is shocked. Shando. No, legit. That's actually what happened. Literally, asked my mom verbatim. I feel like that's how you can also approach God. Like, I really want some sisters. I really want, like, I've listened to this podcast and, you know, trends online, #sisterhood. I want that.
Me too.
And God will answer. It might not be as quick as you may want, or sometimes it may blow your mind how quickly, you know, someone sends you a text, hey girl, you just came to my mind, do you want to go for coffee? That's literally it. And so I think if you can actually pray about it, because God cares about it. And the second thing that I would say is put yourself out there.
Come on now.
I know we say it a lot with dating in particular, but I think it also relates to friendships. No one's going to become your friend if you're just chilling in the house every day. No one wants to befriend a weirdo if you're just inside in the dark, in the sheets all day, every day. How are you going to find friends?
Club you go find it. No, stop it.
Do you remember Club Penguin? Yeah. So, like, how are you actually gonna make friends? Girl, get outside. Like, find yourself in spaces which you like first of all, and then you'll find women who like it too. And boom, bam, we're friends. You know. And I would also say the last thing actually is when you get into those spaces as well, don't be afraid of intentionally pursuing relationships. Okay, I'm in this space now. I've put myself out there, but now get involved. Get involved. I find that, like, most of my relationships, for example, with church, came because I was serving, right? So it's like I've now become close friends with the people on my serving team or in my small group, or, you know, I ended up volunteering to be a part of the team. And now I'm in team meetings and people are more like, I'm spending more time with people. And yes, it's forced time together, but it's time that we get to banter and time they get to understand more about me. And so when you even enter into these third spaces, don't be stush. Don't be, and stush for our international sisters is just like, you're bare stiff, like people, you don't really want to interact with people. You come and you go, come and you go, just a gasp of wind, just you're here, then you're gone.
Then you're gone.
Do you get what I mean? And no one can say hi to you. You don't spend time saying hi to people, getting to know people, and as hard as that can be, and I understand social awkwardness, but a lot of us are using social awkwardness as an excuse. Beloved, you just don't want to talk. Get over that. That's what I'd say.
I love that.
Yeah.
Show social awkwardness and anxiety. Who's boss?
It
should be afraid of you.
It's even more reason to be like, no, you're not going to keep me in your clutches. I'm going to start talking to people.
Have you seen those TikToks where people will comment and say social anxiety is afraid of you? Because you are there speaking to members of the public. You are there interrupting people's days.
If you like, and this might seem like super spiritual, but for me, it's like, as soon as you allow it to hold you back, it's going to keep you forever.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you just need to do it to overcome the fear, and just to show the fear, like,
I'm boss
you're
here.
not gonna, I'm the boss here. I am gonna talk to someone. I may be super awkward. I hope I may never bump into them again. But in this particular moment, I showed you who's boss.
A win for the team.
A win for the team.
And honestly, like, really putting yourself out there. I love that you mentioned that. It's so important, because it's often through friends that some of your biggest blessings will come. Some of you are already in, how do you put yourself out there into dating and stuff, not knowing or realizing that the person that you're looking for could be in your pool of friends.
Simple.
Pool of friends.
I like that.
It's very funny because last Sunday, our pastor was talking about the importance of social health and how many of us neglect the body, like actually connecting with people and maintaining a sense of social health, so that we may be able to access, like, there's certain blessings or certain things that will only come about through our proximity to people, and not in a transactional way, but actually in a loving way. It's through the love of people. There's so much beauty and brilliance to be accessed, and vice versa. I find that relationships often bring out not just the worst to be refined and sharpened, but also the best in us. And it gives us the opportunity to really shine as people in relation to other people. So if you really do want to, especially as women of faith, if you really do want to experience but also share the love of God, the best place to do that is often in relationships, and friendships being one of them. Like, we often focus on marital relationships or romantic relationships, but friendships are often a site where God's glory is depicted too. So actually holding in your heart friendship as something that is in high regard, and I don't think it's doing too much to be spiritual about it. Friendships are spiritual. Friendships are a ministry. Friendships are a ministry. Every single relationship that you have is a ministry. You are a steward in that ministry, and you have to steward and minister well. So actually seeing it as something that's important enough and requires that level of investment in the spiritual realm as well as in the natural realm. And sorry, it's a bit of a plug to TMS, but if you are looking for sisterhood and all them things there,
join the Sisterhood.
You already know where you should go, because we actually have testimonies of people becoming friends by coming to our events.
Come to the To My Sisters events, like retreats. We have literally had people from different parts of the world link up in a country, and then they spend a week together, and suddenly they're doing their own trip, they're planning their own trip to another place, right? Or people have come to the live show, and after the live show they're like, let's go for dinner, or let's go to the cinema. And it's like, this is exactly what it's all about. Like, let's create spaces where women can connect with one another, where it's not about celebrity. You're not just coming to see Renee and I, you're coming to connect with other like-minded, genuine hearted women.
Genuine emphasis on the genuine. So make sure you stay plugged into all things TMS events if you want to actually change your life,
for real.
But before we do go, Miss CDB, I know it's very sad, we've got to leave the girls alone and we're talking about loneliness. I think that's actually quite outrageous, but to leave them with something to encourage them for the week, over to you. Letter to my sisters.
Let it rip. Okay. To my sisters, you were not made to do life alone. I know sometimes it feels like that's more convenient and you're less predisposed to pain, but honestly, life is so much more beautiful when you do it with people who actually love you. And our prayer for you is that you'll actually be surrounded by people who care about who you are, where you're going, and your well-being overall, because loneliness kills. Let me be honest with you, loneliness kills, and it makes life miserable. And so you may have to kiss a few frogs or frogettes, But don't worry, you will find your tribe, you will find your sisterhood, and when you do, hold on to them tight.
Beautiful. It's giving community.
It's giving community.
Love you, ladies.
We do indeed. Hey sis, we hope that you enjoyed this conversation all about loneliness and cultivating female friendships and sisterhood. You already know this is our bag over here. We are people who love female friendships and really believe that they can actually thrive even in a society of pessimism and isolation. And so if you want to plug into the sisterhood, make sure you do. But before you run away, we want to leave you with a reflective exercise and activity to help bring this conversation to life for you. And so the question that we want you to reflect on this week is, do you feel deeply known and supported in your friendships? You can think of each friendship individually or all of them collectively and think about whether you are actually cherished as your authentic self and whether you're actually supported. And you never know, pondering on that question may reveal some things to you about some things that need to change, some conversations that need to take place. But speaking of conversations, this week's activity, if you really want to get a stars, is reach out to a woman in your circle. It could be one of your kind of not closest friends, but she's on the peripheries, or maybe she's a person at work or someone you've just admired for a long time and is orbiting in your world somewhere, and just message her and just really say like, hey, I'd like to connect, and see where that goes. You can invite her into a conversation with you through a voice note or by shooting her a message or inviting her out to coffee, or give her a cheeky FaceTime. Why not? I'm sure she'd love to see your face on her phone. And I want you to do something a little bit difficult and just share something vulnerable about yourself. I know vulnerability, tough times. However, it could simply be when she asks, how are you? Don't just give her the cliche, I'm well. Really go into it. I'm a bit tired, or, I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about something that's coming up. Just be vulnerable and see where the conversation goes. I hope if you do this exercise, you actually can cultivate some really lovely relationships in your life, and we'd love to hear about it. And if you're really, really struggling to find women who you can do this exercise with, make sure you join the sisterhood. Literally head to our website, tomysisters.com, where you can find amazing women who get deep in their conversations and honest about what they are going through. And so hopefully it's a space where you can feel known and supported once you join. And so yes, we hope that you enjoyed this conversation. We hope that you stay plugged in with the sisterhood on social media at @ToMySisterhood. You can also follow us. Our handles are in that bio. And we want you to have an amazing week. We want you to feel like you aren't alone, and we are here with you, at least virtually. So yeah, sisters, we'll see you next week. And as always, keep glowing and growing. Toodles.